why is it when I get divorced, I can look hot?
Right.
But when I'm married, I can't. I'm like a mom with kids. But then when I leave my man, I can look hot again. Like,
Right.
it's weird. I'm like, shouldn't you be your best self for the person that loves you the most? Anything nice about female nature, people are just angry at.
Yeah.
AOC is actually cool. The right needs to take notes from her. I think she has a ton of star power.
Yeah.
That people drastically underestimate.
I am Lydia Moynihan, filling in for Miranda Devine on Podforce One. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here with Brittany Hugoboom today, who founded Evie magazine and an app supporting fertility with your husband as well.
Yeah.
Who not with us, but thank you so much for joining us. So very interested to hear about Evie, which you launched this magazine because you were a young woman. You'd won a modeling competition at that point. But everything you kind of turned to, whether it was Cosmo, you wanted to read about skincare and fashion, and then suddenly you're inundated with articles about like Marxism and polycules and all kinds of wild things. So what did you see in the landscape, and what made you realize there was an opportunity for a product like Evie magazine?
I'm honestly, as I was telling you before we started, I'm surprised that nobody had thought of anything similar, to be honest. I was a huge magazine reader. I would go every Saturday to Barnes & Noble and I would read all the magazines, and then I would read like manga and like literature. Like, I was reading for hours and I'd hang out with friends. So I loved magazines. And yeah, I entered a model search when I was like 16 and won for a magazine. And it turned so odd. I started living in LA in the 2010s, and like at the time, everything became so rabid, like hardcore feminist, man hating, women hating, family hating. In the 2010s, you had the Jezebels, you had Vice did their turn, Refinery 29, and I was like, where's like a magazine like the magazine I used to read, but instead of like 2 pages praising Hillary Clinton and her pantsuits, celebrated, beautiful women on the other side. And that's kind of like how we started. And it wasn't, that was basically it. I didn't know anything. I had modeled and I knew a lot of photographers and I knew people in the health space and beauty space. And I think my husband and I have a really great relationship. So I'm like, we kind of hit all the categories that a classic women's magazine would have. So why don't we just do that? And I think it's even funny, a lot of liberal women will like the magazine because it's more pro like monogamy and like masculine men and femininity. And it went pretty unhinged for a while in the late 2010s.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, in some ways it's still continuing. It is striking to me, even I'm thinking about Vogue, and I think Jill Biden was on the cover 3 times. I know Kamala Harris has graced it. Melania Trump, who's obviously a gorgeous woman and a model, she's never been on it. Why do you think there was this sort of bent that just really only targeted half the country?
I don't know. I thought it was so odd too, because I had never seen The Apprentice until last year, which is so odd because I loved Shark Tank and it's kind of similar.
Yeah.
And everybody loved him at the time, and then they all turned on him. And I think that's just so annoying. Like, be loyal. I don't know. Maybe it's the Mexican in me. I'm like, where's the loyalty here?
But why do you think it was? And you highlighted Jezebel. And what's interesting is many of these magazines like Teen Vogue or Bustle, they've either gone bankrupt or closed, or they're really struggling, have had to be restructured.
Yeah.
Do you think that kind of speaks to your thesis that that market was really saturated? People don't want to go to a fashion magazine to be lectured about politics.
Yeah, it's funny. There are so many conspiracies about us. We must have like all these billionaires making our articles go viral. And it's not true. It's just there are so many women that resonate with this like perspective that haven't gotten it. I was in London last year and women were telling me like, hey, I'm burnt out from everything I've been reading in magazines and I want a different path. And no one was really giving them it. So it's not some conspiracy that it's grown how it has. We've never spent $1 on marketing.
Really?
Never, no. Marketing campaigns are so fun for me. I can like come up with them in my sleep. I have such a blast doing it. But yeah, no, I think it just resonates with people. And a lot of women felt alienated. Maybe they love beauty or style tips and they didn't have a magazine that didn't hate them, which is sad.
But you mentioned, I mean, anybody can read Evie magazine. I think it's a much more welcoming sort of approach than what these sort of so-called mainstream magazines
Our audience
take.
is surprisingly split, like basically 33, 33, 33, Republican, Democrat, Independent, which I don't think anyone has for the women 18 to 34, 35 demo.
So interesting.
Yeah.
And this is obviously happening too at a time where women are increasingly going towards more left-wing democratic politics. We've seen men in the country really go to the right and women to the left. Do you have a view on that? And is this magazine catering to them? Is it a reaction to that? How do you see Evie fitting into
Well,
that sort of changing picture?
yeah, that's interesting you brought that up because I do think young women actually leaned more to the right in 2024,
Hmm.
voting wise, than they have before. But we're really not a super political magazine. We're more celebrating femininity, love, beauty, romance, which I think that everyone can get on board with.
Yeah.
So even, I've had people hate on the magazine for years, but they'll buy them and they'll buy our dresses and they'll wear them and they're like, oh my gosh, like my husband's obsessed with me when I wear this dress. Like it kind of backfires on them. And we even had like a trans person buy the magazine by accident, apparently, in New York City and gave it a lot of compliments. So I think that people, especially like Gen Z and really Gen Alpha too, which is a much younger demo, really resonate with the content and like don't want the hyper polarization that we've seen in the past.
It's funny to me that because fashion and entertainment has gotten so transgressive and it feels like there's always this movement towards being so shocking, right? Like Lady Gaga, she can't just wear a
Yeah.
nice dress, she has to wear a meat dress to stand out. And so in a way, because of these sort of crazy out there ads and films, being normal
Yeah.
is almost radical in its
Yeah.
own way.
Yeah. It was so interesting too, because I know like I say it's so interesting a lot, but
Oh, that's also my tick. Forget
yeah.
like. I say it's interesting.
I say that too. And I
Interesting.
think somebody called it out and I was like, oh, I do. But
Better
the,
than the alternative. I don't
yeah,
know.
I say like a lot too.
Uninteresting.
It's very California
Yeah,
though.
that's
I'm like, I
fair.
just blame being from California,
That's
which is
fair.
a cope for sure. But when we started Evie at the time, there was like the Cosmo UK cover that was like, this is healthy, and it was an obese person on the cover. And we would talk to people and they're like, what do you want different in the Evie branding? And every single person was like, oh, you should have more body positivity. And they said it over and over and over. And I'm like, it's not revolutionary, and it tells me you can't really think for yourself when you're all saying the
Mm,
same exact thing. Like when Skims did it, you have Kim Kardashian as the face who's still stunning. Everybody wants to look like her, or Rihanna for her brand, Savage X Fenty. But it's like, it just felt authentic to the brand.
yeah.
But they had this problem, even in LA when I was modeling in the 2010s. Like I know Glossier was huge. And then every makeup brand was like Glossier mood board. Everyone wanted to be Glossier. And it's like, let them be them and you be you. And you
Mm,
look at Charlotte Tilbury, who's been true to them. Obviously, they're London based, but like they always had the Hollywood glamour. You have like, all the beauty brands that are doing well are the ones that are authentic to them. And it's like, you shouldn't try to chase trends.
yeah.
I'm like not a trend chaser at all, and I would rather just start them.
I like that. And you did start a trend. The milkmaid dress
Oh.
was one of the
I will say
more.
milkmaid dresses were popular. Everyone's like, Evie thinks they started the milkmaid dress trend. I will say they were popular,
But it was the marketing.
I thought
to
it
an
was fun.
extent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was super fun. Did you see that campaign?
With very nostalgic. And then Penny
Yeah.
Lane, right? The
Yeah.
model.
Yeah.
She's now gotten
She's gotten huge now.
huge.
Yeah, I'm just so happy for her. We met her at a party, I think, a couple years ago and booked her for 28, and she resonated a lot with the app, and she's just fantastic. I love to see girls like that, like, winning.
Do you think body positivity, especially with now semaglutides have made it possible for kind of anyone to be
Yeah,
thin,
right.
do you think the era of body positivity is over?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
but I
don't think
do
we're going to see
think
a woke backlash to that?
I do think like the scary skinny thing is a bit concerning though.
Yeah.
I think which is Evie has said this back in 2019, body positivity should mean treating our bodies positively. And that's what we mean. And if you look at the 90s supermodels, if you look at those girls, they're usually like a size 4 or whatever. They work out, they're fit, they look
Cindy
incredible.
Crawford.
Yeah.
Yeah. The iconic American
That's what I
supermodel.
love. Yeah. I'm not saying obviously, become anorexic, but I'm just saying like be positive towards your body.
Yeah. Yeah. How political, because you will personally weigh in, on
Yeah.
X on different issues. Um, you've weighed in on Sophie Cunningham. Are those issues that you as a magazine want to speak to sort of give women guidance or kind of acknowledge what's happening in the culture?
Oh my gosh, I reached out to Sophie Cunningham.
You did?
Yeah, I wanted to shoot her, and
She's
she's
gorgeous.
gorgeous. It was before she blew up. This always happens to me. I'm like, this
You
person's gonna
see
blow up.
it. You see it.
Addison Rae, I was like, she's gonna blow up. We have a shoot planned, and then like the next week she gets this agent at William Morris who's like, she's not doing anything. And
Ugh.
with Sophie, she has an exclusive, which I don't even know if I can say or what magazine it is, so we can't shoot with her right now. But I'd wanted to shoot her before
Yeah.
the virality, and this is what most people believe, and it's like, why is this a big deal? Like, women play sports with women. Like, I grew up doing martial arts. Like, I don't know. It's how is this
Yeah.
even like a I look at what happened to Gina Carano back then, and it's just so stupid. She's just not even a political person. She's the sweetest girl in the
Right.
world, and I was so annoyed that nobody stood up for her.
Yeah.
It really ticked me off. And
For folks who don't know, like myself, actually, who was Gina Carano?
so Gina Carano was in Star Wars.
Okay.
She was in The Mandalorian,
Yes.
and she was basically the reason why women in MMA became a thing. She was like this beautiful, she still is this gorgeous MMA fighter. And she had gotten canceled during the COVID vaccine era.
Right. Okay.
And just such an angel. And I see this, and I just like, it really bothers me when people don't have loyalty to girls like that. But then she came back and she did her fight with Ronda Rousey, and now
Yeah.
she's like, doing other
It
things.
is so interesting with Sophie Cunningham or so many of these women who they're just, they're saying something that 80% of Americans believe. It's not, to me, what she said was so not controversial.
No.
And yet, for some reason, magazines and the media has like made it a safe space for the 20% of women or 20% of people who don't believe what the vast majority of Americans believe. And you're expelled from sort of these like elite institutions.
Yeah.
If you have a normal opinion.
Yeah, it's so dumb. I think it's changing because I noticed that Sports Illustrated posted their shoot with her afterwards, and that would never have happened like 3-4 years ago. But I think brands really need to understand, like, look at Sydney Sweeney with American Eagle. Look at Sophie Cunningham. She had her Adidas drop.
Right, that's
It's
sold out.
Why are brands, just from a business perspective, not utilizing girls who are a little more controversial for their marketing if they want to make money?
Right.
Like, nobody cares about a girl who has no opinion whatsoever. And you kind of look at why influencer culture is dying because it's like, I'm watching these girls, they're pretty, they're in their dresses, but like, what do they do? Like, what do they stand for? You don't really know. And I think that's why you look at someone like Alex Earle, who's become so big, you know who she is and like her values, and you can choose to support her or not or whatever. But it's like, I think people are gravitating towards that. And I think it's a misstep for brands to not lean more into that. And I'm not saying go for like super political influencers because I don't think they convert well, but like the girls like, I'm not going to say who, but there are girls that I would choose to be a face of a huge brand for sure.
Have any of your cover stars or people you've worked with, have they gotten backlash for working with you?
That's a good question. I don't really know. So one girl I found on Instagram, I kind of like to do a mix of, I love discovering beautiful new faces. Like, I was speaking at a college about business, and this girl comes up to me and is like, I want to intern for you. And I was like, why don't you model for me? You're gorgeous. And we just shot her in London, and the cover is going to come out soon. But I love discovering beautiful faces because back then, Sports Illustrated would do that. You'd have like Irina Shayk and she'd blow up, and it was like this beautiful new girl. And then they stopped doing it, and now it's like the same kind of Nepo babies over and over, which is fine.
That's so true. Yeah, we're not really discovering.
You don't discover new faces anymore because that's a whole nother story, maybe for another podcast, but they're not discovering beautiful faces. And I love doing that. And so I like to do a mix between gorgeous faces and then like cultural phenomenons. And I never ask the girls who they're voting for on set or anything. I have no idea who any of them voted for. But one of the girls, I booked her. I saw her on Instagram, and then our friends own an agency in Hawaii, and they repped her like a couple years later. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And after we shot her, Candace Swan Pohl booked her for Tropic of Sea, and she made the Maxim Hot 100. And they were like, "Thank you, Evie, for like finding this girl."
Wow.
And then obviously after the Ballerina Farm cover, it
Which
was
for
like,
folks who don't know, because that was
oh my gosh.
she is the sort of original trad wife is the internet term, because she
Yeah.
has a farm. She has, gosh, 10 kids with her husband, but
9.
9.
Yeah.
Juilliard educated, and then chose to live a much more traditional rural life.
Yeah.
Where she has a much more traditional role, and
Yeah.
yet she's making a fortune.
Right. It's so funny
as
because
as a trad wife.
I was trying to explain this to a friend who was like, explain the trad wife phenomenon to me. Like, I don't know it. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's so long. But with Nara Smith and Hannah Nealman, they kind of became the faces of the trad wife movement, even though both from the beginning said that they were not, and they are not. They've always said we're co-CEOs, you know, we work with our husband, like, which I guess is kind of traditional, to be honest. But like, it was odd because the media was like, oh my gosh, like they don't want women to work, they don't want women to vote, they don't want. I'm like, these women don't say anything, and I actually think that they were hated on the most because they're beautiful, they're rich, and they have it all.
And people were, I guess, projecting.
Yeah.
And I do feel like there's a strain of feminism that is a lot of resentment. People feel very angry and resentful, and then project that on other people.
Yeah. Like, I'm so fat, like postpartum for like a year, and I could never do a pageant. And I saw her do her pageant. I think I had my second kid. She had her 8th. And I was like, wow, good for her. Like, go girl. And that was when I first found out about her.
Yeah.
Because some of our team liked her because they work on farms and stuff. I'm not like a farm girl. But I was like, oh, that's super cool. I had never seen so much backlash for her doing a pageant and being in shape like 2 weeks postpartum. It's like, why can't we celebrate each other's gifts?
Right.
Like, just because she looks amazing doesn't mean that you're a like, I don't know. It just doesn't
right.
make sense to
It's
me.
not an indictment on somebody who doesn't compete in a pageant, but it just feels like there's just sort of this knee-jerk backlash against anything that's traditionally feminine.
Yeah.
And
it's just stupid. Anyways.
That's very interesting, because that was, I mean, gosh, she has 10 million followers.
Yeah. I genuinely think if she
social
wasn't
media.
beautiful and rich and happy, nobody would care. That's what they're coming for her for.
And I mean, that was sort of the same reaction to the Sydney Sweeney campaign.
Yeah. And
People-
because she likes men. And it's so odd to me because like my husband will like bring me a huge bouquet every year. He's so romantic. And like girls love it. They're like, even liberal girls are like, oh my gosh, your husband's like, you know, taking photos of you. Like, he's so proud. He's such like he's so inspiring to me. But if I'm like, wow, I just adore him, then it's like you're a slave to the man. It's so stupid. It's
and
like
something that most women want to get married. They want to have kids. And yet to acknowledge that or celebrate it.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
Evie is such a
odd.
safe space for that, to have like traditional femininity and celebrating that instead of making women feel crazy for wanting such a fundamental basic thing.
It's like you can do things, but you have to look good for you. You can never do anything for a man, but then men should do things for you. And
That's actually,
like,
that's so
it's
true.
Odd.
That's so true.
Yeah.
If you say, oh, I want to look good for my husband.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we had an article that went, I think our first viral article on Substack, and it was, I'm a hot mom and I'm tired of being mom shamed for it. And one of my mom friends like did a TikTok. She was like, I'm a MILF and I'm tired of being, and I was like, girl, this is a banger. Write this for Evie. And so she had 2 sets of twins naturally and a 5th in like 3 years. Like, she met her husband. She was like 33, 34. He's like, I want 4 kids. She's like, I don't know if we can have 4. Bam, bam, bam. She's 37, has 5 kids. And she said she was like going to an appointment. I can't remember if it was like a boob job or like a hair appointment, whatever it was. And she was like, I want to look good for my husband. And they were like, why? Like, you're not getting divorced. Like, why do you care? And she's like, wait, why is it when I get divorced, I can look hot?
Right.
But when I'm married, I can't. I'm like a mom with kids. But then when I leave my man, I can look hot again. Like,
Right.
It's weird. I'm like, shouldn't you be your best self for the person that loves you the most?
And that's also just the best advice that you could give a woman, is to stay married.
Be the best version of you.
Be the best version of you. Right.
Yeah.
And it's so...
People didn't like that article, though.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It is insane to me that that's such common sense that other women should actually share with other women.
Yeah.
Because that is actually going to make you happier.
Right.
if you stay married to the man you have 5 children with and you look
Yeah.
good for him and he stays faithful to you, like that's truly the best advice.
Yeah.
That
No,
somebody in that situation could have.
Evie readers, like they are like the most beautiful, sweet, happy, romantic girls. Like usually in their 20s, our audience is younger, but like they're just so like you just see the joy. And yeah.
My colleague Miranda Devine, this is her podcast. She recently wrote about the sort of phenomenon of AOC, which
Okay.
has taken over everything online. People have been obsessed with AOC's egg freezing journey, which I do think I'm not critical of her at all for that, but she did put that out there for people, so I
Yeah.
think it's fair to comment on it. I don't
Sure.
think you're revealing some sort of detail, but she really juxtaposed in her story what maybe more leftist sort of people have pushed women to do, putting family on hold at the same time that Caroline Levitt, who's a mom of 2 young
Right.
kids, decided to step down to spend more
Yeah.
time with her family. I'm curious. Well, first, I just want to get your reaction to the
Yeah.
AOC egg freezing journey, what you make of all of that.
Yeah, I think, interestingly, one of our first articles, I think, for Evie was how AOC is actually cool, and how the right needs to take notes from her. I think she has a ton of star power,
Yeah.
that people drastically underestimate. The problem with the whole egg freezing thing is it's like the woman who's on the cover of Bloomberg in 2014. It's like she froze her eggs and then held off her career and then later tried to unfreeze her eggs and all of them failed. And she ended up having to get a donor egg and donor sperm. And then she finally had a baby at 45. But we're not saying all women should have kids. But if you want to have kids, we're saying there are seasons in your life where you should prioritize it.
Yeah.
And it does get harder as you get older. My first reaction when I saw that was I thought she had a long-term fiance, but I feel like when you really like a guy, you just want to have his babies.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just feel like it wasn't the fit.
Yeah.
And it just kind of seems like it was a relationship, which I don't want to judge them. I've never met them, but where it seemed to just like waste time. And now she's like doing it. And it's just like a very unfortunate situation.
But it's very common. I think
It's very expensive too.
it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And to your point, it's not
It doesn't really
effective.
work usually. Yeah. It's, yeah.
But I do think, so my take on AOC is, I think the way that the left has Trump derangement syndrome, where they just reflexively criticize him for anything, right? He could cure cancer and people would be like, oh, actually, cancer is good, right? Whatever he does,
No,
people
it's true.
reflexively hate him.
Yeah.
And I think that's a superpower for the right.
Yeah.
In the same way, I was really surprised to see there's sort of an AOC derangement syndrome on the
for
right.
sure.
And I think all of her policies are disastrous and problematic.
Yeah.
But to reflexively criticize somebody for anything they do is a bad thing. And I think there was something about her and many of the women that she is appealing to, because a lot of young women love her.
Yeah.
There was something about that message of putting family on a hold that clearly resonated and that was in line with the sort of orthodoxy
Yeah.
that Democrats believe in, that you should, that is the right approach.
And it's tough, she's in the late millennial demographic. And if I have to say one demo usually gets upset at Evie the most, it's 37 to 43. Like it's not Gen X, it's not Gen Z, it's not young millennials like 30 to 35. It is her age group. And I think a lot of them do feel like they were lied to in a lot of ways. Like they had to do all these things. And in America, it's like a very individualistic country, which is incredible for innovation. When you look at courageous people, they're going to be American. But at the same time, sometimes with the kind of more female nature, I feel like we've kind of shut that off a bit when you look at like the birth control pill, when you look at here, take a pill, work, delay. It kind of seems like everything that is feminine nature has been considered a crux. Like it's like every month, oh, I have like instead of using it as a superpower and as a positive, it's like if you're beautiful, it's the patriarchy. If you're charming, if you're like thin, maybe you're judging people, just like weird stuff where it's like anything nice about female nature, people are just angry at.
Yeah.
Which is just led to
the anti-feminist thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, it's interesting. I think there's all these different waves of feminism, but maybe you're sort of the truest feminist because you're not telling women like be just like a guy, right? Suppress
it's
every part of who you are.
Yeah.
to succeed.
Yeah, I think that women should succeed using their femininity. I think that's like the strongest power that a woman has. You know, when you look at Marilyn Monroe, you look at Cleopatra, like every woman who was considered like powerful in her time, she used her femininity. And you look at Sydney Sweeney now with her star
Mm.
power. It's like she is the first one who came out and was like ultra feminine when it was at a time where it was kind of more androgynous and everyone had like all the baggy stuff. And she was like, I'm just gonna like Hollywood movie star classic it, and
Yeah.
really resonated
Yeah.
in that way.
What do you think? So Alex Cooper is the largest female podcaster with the largest female audience. People are very critical because she obviously began her career talking about very promiscuous
Yeah.
things. That was the entire podcast. And now she has made that journey. She's married. She's
Yeah.
about to have a baby. What do you make of her and her messaging?
So I'm obviously not like the demo for her podcast. I'm
Me
very
neither.
like, yeah, I'm very pro. You know, I met my husband at 18. You know, I'm a romantic. I love love. I love like Lana Del Rey and Olivia Dean and like just the romantics. Obviously not like sleeping around and all that stuff. But at the same time, I think she kind of embodies the feminist, you can have it all, you can do it all. And I think a lot of people on the right were upset because she got married and had a kid. I think maybe it is a PR thing. You know, she's getting a lot of bad PR with her business and how her husband's treating workers. And then like she has a baby and now in podcast, she's like, oh, don't comment for me. I'm pregnant.
Right.
So I
Right.
don't know.
Yeah,
I
I saw
mean,
an interview where she was asked about some pretty
yeah,
scandalous, tawdry
yeah.
decisions, and that was her cop out.
But yeah, I am team Alex Earl. I'll say that.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if we have time to get into the Alex
Yeah.
saga. You mentioned the birth control thing, and you were
Yeah.
very early on what's sort of now known
Yeah.
as Maha.
Yeah.
And that was another thing where it's like every woman I know, literally they hit 12 and they're put on the, which is a
Yeah.
crazy societal shift
Yeah.
to see. And now in the span of a couple years, that's been almost completely undone.
Yeah.
Where for the first time women, it's like it's cool
Yeah.
to at least consider it.
Yeah.
And it's not weird.
Yeah.
How was that? Was that an issue that you identified early
Oh,
on?
man.
What
birth
what is
control
your I know. What is your
Yeah.
take on that?
So it's so funny. Again, when we started, and I talked about this in Vanity Fair, we had kind of like my husband grew up. His mom would like make everything from scratch, like kind of like a Nara Smith. So when I met him, we started dating. We go to Whole Foods. I had never been to Whole Foods. I didn't know the difference between organic and inorganic milk. I was like, which one do you like? I want to get you a present. And I grew up on microwave pizzas, and I love my parents. I had an amazing. I don't want to say anything like I grew up with amazing parents, but like we grew up on trash food, which is kind of great in the sense of like I'm not picky, but like obviously not great for my health.
Yeah.
But so when I met him and then I moved to LA, all my friends were like models and they all had like glass jars and they would drink water and they wouldn't have plastic because of microplastics.
Very
And
crunchy.
It was so crunchy.
Yeah.
We were like super maha. And then a couple of my friends trained the Victoria's Secret models. And so I'm working out with them. And they're talking about how all the VS girls are getting off the pill because it's causing weight gain and bloating and acne and mood swings and all these things. And I was like, wait, why is nobody talking about this?
Yeah.
So I start looking into Dr. Jolene Bryden, start learning about Dr. Sarah Hill. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I always wanted to like work out like the supermodels or do things that they
Yeah.
did because they look amazing.
And those were the original Cosmo
Those were the
articles. How to look
OG.
like a
Yeah.
Victoria's Secret model.
So I was like, why is nobody talking about this? So we start talking about it, and people on the right were like upset. They're like, why aren't you talking about abortion? And we're like, this is like a totally different topic. What are you talking about?
Right.
And then people on the left were like, oh my gosh, Handmaid's Tale. They want people to have a million kids. And I'm like, all I'm saying is why is nobody talking about the side effects of the pill?
Right.
Now, a lot of people who are in the Maha movement were like Evie readers. And then a lot of them kind of became Maha after. And they would read it and they, you know. So then it's kind of like, I always did Pilates growing up. And now people are like, oh my gosh, Pilates girls are so Evie coded, as if that's like a negative. Like if you wear a dress and go to Pilates, like it's like a derangement syndrome. And I'm like, okay, so you don't want Pilates, you don't want sundresses, you want to be on the pill, like, okay, like fine. It's
almost
odd.
it's almost just anything that seems vaguely traditional.
Yeah. Like,
or
we were on the cover of the
conservative.
Washington Post, and it was like,
They
"Is
want
the
to.
sundress political now?" And it was like, "Our dress." And it's like, why is all of a sudden, us doing Pilates and talking about the pill turn into this whole culture war? But I think it's just to drive clicks, to be honest.
Okay, okay, that's fair. But it is kind of unfortunate that if you are a more conservative woman and you just want to be a girl and you just
Yeah,
like want to look cute
yeah. But
and
she's like
somehow
an LA
that's
girl.
political.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
okay. So speaking of birth control, and you've been very vocal too about vaccines, all of this in a way that's been at a time, I guess, where this has been so controversial. And I even remember during the vaccine, one of the doctors said to me, "Oh, it's totally safe because um, you're much more likely to die of a blood clot on birth control." And my first thought was like, "Wait, people are getting blood clots on birth control?" That was the first negative thing I'd ever heard about birth
That's
control.
interesting.
So my takeaway was more to be alarmed about birth control.
Wow.
But you've also been very vocal about vaccines.
Yeah.
How does that fit into the magazine and trying to sort of I mean, would you say Evie's more fashion, health, or all of the above? I guess how would you describe it?
I would just say all ultra feminine in all the categories and trying to have women be the best version of themselves. And when you look at kind of the vaccine thing, it started with the COVID vaccine. I was pregnant at the time, and my nurse and OBGYN, they were both like, "Hey, like, don't get the vaccine. We've seen a record number of stillborns. Like, don't do it." And like, I wasn't going to anyway. But I was like, "Can you guys write about this for Evie?" And nobody would go on the record for me. They're like, "We will
Hmm.
not go on the record. We're going to lose our license." So it was at a time where I'm like, all these people are being forced to take this vaccine. And even all my liberal friends in LA, like I said, who are super
Hmm.
crunchy, didn't want to take it. And they're like, "What's going on?" And I'm like, "All right, I'm going to be, the one who like throws it out there." And then I ended up getting, conspiracy, whatever. But it was like everybody's different. Everyone has different workouts that affect them differently. They have different diets that affect them differently. You have different blood types. Like some blood type, does better with
Right.
other food. People can argue against that, but that's what Miranda Kerr and a lot of those girls do. And there's no one size fits all for anything. So
Right.
I'm like, the fact that people are being forced to take that, I thought was asinine. And a lot of our employees now at Evie were girls who like were being forced at other companies to take it and didn't want
Interesting.
to. And I'm like, "Come to Evie, we're not going to do it." So we were the only publication I'm aware of that was not pro forcing it from the beginning. Probably New York Post too. I don't want to say otherwise, but we were not pro forcing it from the beginning. So we've always had very consistent stances, and I credit that to women's intuition.
Do you think that the Maha movement that has reached an entirely new sort of audience of people? I think RFKJ was really important, obviously, in sort of
Yeah.
expanding people's interest in politics who otherwise wouldn't have taken a position. Do you think that will continue sort of as a voting block? I know you're not political, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
curious to get your take.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it will. I think that the merging of kind of the more liberal crunchiness with like, you know, the aesthetics and like the good things that they've done over on the right was a good call out. And I think that it's only going to become bigger. I think there will be a bit of crunchy burnout. I think that there's just so much, like there's everything and everything. And I think some women are going to get a little burnt out. And I think it's
Mm.
better to be low cortisol than like perfect in that way and like kind of psychologically, oh, I have to have like a non-toxic this and that and that.
Right. It can be overwhelming to try and
Yeah.
do
But
all of the healthy things
yeah, I
on your
do. I
own.
love Alex Clark, and my friend Hannah's starting a non-plastic bra like lingerie company. So I am very excited about
Interesting.
that. I am going to be
Okay.
switching.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You heard it here first.
Yeah.
Just to kind of wrap up Evie as well. I mean, with the articles, because you will write about um, social issues, right? Like premarital sex,
Yeah.
abortion, all of these things. Is that something that the magazine has a viewpoint on, or you as editor will kind of and do you see
Yeah.
that even as political, or do you just see that as sort of helping women make the best choices for
Yeah. At
themselves?
the end of the day, it's just helping women make the best choices for themselves. So I don't really see that as political. Yeah,
Yeah.
not really. Maybe
Common
everyone else does. Everyone
sense.
thinks Pilates and sundresses are political. So it's like everything's political, you know?
Just living your life. I
Yeah.
think maybe that's the takeaway too, is it's not even most people don't want to be political, but there
Yeah.
are so many political people out there that
Yeah.
just living your life with freedom and having a traditional family is sort
Yeah.
of shocking.
Yeah. There's a ton of libertarians that, vote right or whatever. And it's like, I don't know. I think that the media has become so polarizing, and I think people are going to be so checked out of it. I
Yeah.
think people are just kind of over it.
Do you feel like you have been received by like models and photographers and people more in the industry? Or do
People in
you
the industry, I think, crack up with Evie because we had like the shoot, for example, with Hannah Nealman from Ballerina Farm and
the
I,
trad wife?
the trad wife. And I guarantee, like, I don't ask, like, who you voted for, whatever. I just like to book the best people for the job. Like, I guess that's kind of Reagan. I just like to pick the best creatives. And for the vision I had for the shoot, I picked the team and people were so upset. They were like, she's not realistic and all this stuff. And the team's like, she's on a magazine cover.
Yeah.
Duh, she's not realistic. Then I think people were so confused by the just total vitriol.
Yeah.
Even like I did a podcast with a liberal girl and she just got killed. They're like, why are you having them on? Like all this stuff. And she's like, whoa, 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 this is crazy. And it's like, why? Because nobody is forcing you to buy my $50
Right.
magazine.
Right.
Like,
No one's forcing you
Yeah.
to get off the pill.
no one's forcing you to log in the eviemagazine.com
But it's
and
not
read the
you're
articles.
literally just presenting an alternative
Yeah.
to 90%
Yeah.
of mainstream media.
Just type in, Allure or whoever you want to go
Right.
to, and it's great. And I love other magazines as well. Like,
But it's not, yeah, it's crazy. It's not even like you're telling people get off birth control. You're just saying, oh, maybe
yeah.
there's side effects.
Yeah. I'm not saying ban it. I'm just saying there might be side effects. And I learned that from models. And if you want to keep doing it, then do it. Like, nobody cares.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's a free country. And then, so you also have an app,
Yes.
and the two are sort of combined, and you've started both with your husband.
Yes. So there's separate companies.
Yes.
With separate teams, separate like cap tables, separate everything. And so that's probably confusing the people. But ultimately, my husband and I love, like I said, marketing and branding, and we want to create different products. And kind of the goal with Evie was to create this platform and then create products under the platform for our audience that they would love.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like ultimately the goal. And with 28, we had just
It's
realized
fertility and tracking.
Yeah, it's like,
app.
so it's fitness, nutrition, and wellness and insights based on where you are in your cycle. So it's like all the workouts were like done by supermodel trainers to like lean you out and balance your hormones. So I've had girls get on it. They're like, I've lost 15 pounds in 2 months and my skin is glowing and all these things. And I don't have painful periods because it shouldn't be normal, but it is kind of normal. But yeah, no, I mean, 28's amazing. I use it every single day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How is it for your husband
Yeah.
working in such a sort of female focused
Yeah.
environment on female focused
Right.
products?
Well, it's funny because he's not really in editorial.
yeah.
So sometimes he'll be like, wait, what is this article from? Like, I'm like, wait, did you read this? I don't think he's like, he's not an editorial. I don't know.
He's
what
not down the rabbit hole with.
No. He gets annoyed with the haters because he's like, he thinks that I'm like the greatest wife and all this. He's like, why are they coming for you? He's just like, screw them. Like, it's a good thing that he's not on social media because
Oh, he's not at all?
he has like an Instagram, but I think it's private. But he's just a lot more, he's very bold and courageous and it's very sexy. But like, he'd probably come for people in a way that I'm like the sweeter half, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't really do the editorial, but he loves, we're both Libras, which I know is like a very LA thing, but we both love like beauty and romance. And so we don't really work together with the magazine or anything, but we'll come together for like a marketing campaign.
And you do some of the photos. You're in the photos as a model.
No, I try not to be.
Okay.
I did, Gucci asked me to be in it. So I did a partnership with Gucci, but like, yeah, not. I try to book other models. I'm like, I try to
Okay.
book girls who read the magazines who are models,
That's so cool.
which is cool. I want to make it like a whole community. It's like you go to the New York Fashion Week party, you're in the magazine, you read the magazine, like a whole fun community. But my husband does like the engineer stuff on 28.
Okay.
So he's like, when you see the app getting better and better.
Do you have a lot of other brand partnerships or work with?
We don't have a ton yet.
Okay.
We're getting into that. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But every time we do a brand partnership, we convert like crazy.
Interesting.
So even like LA PR, they're like, I know, you know, Evie, but like they're like, you guys are the only ones that convert. So, you know, we
Huh.
did
And
a
for
partnership
folks who
with
don't know, it basically means that people are actually
buying our products.
engaged.
Yes.
A lot of people, especially on social media, will just scroll and they don't click and
Yeah.
purchase anything as a result.
Yeah, and it's like the raw milkmaid dress. I think that did 6 figures in like less than 48 hours. Like most SKUs don't do that. And with Brittany
Mm.
Aldean, we did her Vada perfume. We were the exclusive, and other media was like, you know, Brittany Aldean only did the thing with Evie, but for some reason, like their numbers are much higher than anyone expected. And I'm like, well, when people partner with us, it's
Yeah.
good for their brand because our audience loves our products.
And they trust
Yeah.
you and your judgment.
Yeah.
And
And we're picky, you know, we're not going to like give you something crap, you know?
yeah. Yeah. Um, so Peter Thiel is an investor in the app.
Yes.
It's so funny. People have very strong
Yeah.
opinions about
Yeah.
him.
Yeah.
What has it been like working with him? Or not even working with him.
Yeah.
I mean, you pitched him many years ago on
Yeah.
this concept and he seemed very open to it.
Yeah, it's funny because that happened. I think he invested like 2 months before Roe v. Wade was overturned. And I didn't even know that it was on the table. Like
Yeah.
I didn't know it would be overturned. So I was surprised, but then it turned into this lady on Substack was like, you know, oh, they just want like it overturned and now he's investing to like collect data and all this stuff, and it's like no investor has access to any user's data, nor has
Right.
anyone ever asked. And it's like it's separate from
It's not a
Evie.
Handmaid's Tale thing where they're gonna collect your data.
I'm like,
and-
you'd
I
probably
mean,
get like, I'm like, why are you on Instagram? Because he was the first investor in Facebook, which is
Right,
Meta, and
right.
you pay for Instagram and Facebook with your data.
Yeah,
you
they
sell
actually
your
do,
data.
they do take your data.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
Yeah, so I'm like, you're literally making reels about this. Like your data's being stolen as you're pretending that like it's just
to
so
be
bizarre
outraged
to
about
me.
something that has no impact on you.
Yeah, it's like we get paid from subscriptions. Like we don't sell any data. We were
Yeah.
like anti the COVID vax. Like what government are we giving anything to?
It's so true.
I don't know. I see it and I'm just like, oh. And then some girl did a viral TikTok and they're like, the founder of Evie blocked me because I exposed. And I'm like, girl, it's been 4 years. I've seen this video like for 4 years and I know you're going to say the same exact thing and think it's original. And at this point, I'm just like, I'm just bored.
You've seen it before.
I've seen it so many times.
But
Yeah.
you like working with your husband because
Yeah.
a lot of people
we don't really work
okay.
together.
Okay.
Yeah. We
I know
work
the
together
founders
for
of Eat Sleep are
Do
married.
they?
Mm-hmm.
I know my husband's played paddle, I think, with the guy founder.
Okay. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I think on the face of it, people think, oh my gosh, that would be so much.
Yeah. I think if we were like in the early days we were, but I think because we really don't work together, I don't really, aside from our marketing campaigns, which is super fun, I only want to work with him with like fun things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, you know, we'll stay in our space.
Okay. I'm just curious to get your take. What if you were advising, especially more conservative figures, how to reach women? You know, this is after JD Vance said the cat lady
Yeah.
thing about young women and unmarried women. What would your advice be
Oh
to
my
them on
gosh.
how to reach this audience, which is kind of a coveted audience?
Yeah. There was this NPR piece saying that the GOP, like everyone needs to look at the GOP and see what they're doing with Evie and Alex Clark because we're the ones reaching younger women. And I'm like, we don't talk to the GOP. The first
Yeah.
person I ever, I guess, met was Ivanka because she bought a magazine. And
Interesting.
it's just like, I actually like I've heard their arguments for what they would do, and I think that they're awful, and I don't agree with them, and I don't think that you should do them. But it's hard when you say anything, you know. It's conflict, so I'm like I just don't want to be in politics because of
Yeah.
it. I love like Brett Cooper. There's a couple girls that I really like, but yeah, it's I mean, I guess I would have advice for them, but I would like need to sit down and be like, you guys are doing it all wrong because
Yeah.
it's really bad.
What are your, you mentioned a couple very fun articles. What are your other favorite, most viral articles?
Ooh, most viral articles. We had one last Friday on Sophie Cunningham, which she's great. I don't know. There's so many I love. Jamie Marshall, she's one of my favorite writers for us. Taylor Ferber just joined. She's really funny. She's great. She just started last week. So I have some favorite writers and pieces. I would just like look through Jamie's thing if you're ever bored. Jenny White was one we had for a while, who I also loved. She did a How to Seduce a Man Without Resorting to Sex, and she's done some like really good like interest, like, you know, she's Gen X,
Psychological.
so it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, it's very feminine, but like kind of the dark feminine, but in a good way. Yeah.
You were scouted or you won a modeling competition.
Yeah.
Is this something that you thought you would be doing
No.
when you were growing up?
No, I was a martial artist and I was a gamer. I competed in martial arts. I medaled at the Junior Olympics in Taekwondo. I was like a very like martial artist. I read a lot of manga, like I said.
Yeah.
Kind of like, you know, my husband's guy friends will be like, I want a girl who like reads manga and plays video games. And my husband's like, so you want like a guy? And they're like, yeah, but also Brittany does that. Like,
Yeah.
and Gabe's like, yeah, she's like the only one. Not the only one, but you know what I mean. But I grew up like that. And it was actually this woman who was like the top model in Dallas. And she's like, you got to enter this model search and stuff. So I entered Cosmopolitans actually. And I was a finalist for Cosmo Girl. And then I won the next year for a different model search. And then just modeled and dropped out of school and wanted to live near my husband / boyfriend who also left school. And it was a good time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I wasn't planning on doing it, no.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you were in LA where you were in the whole entertainment.
It was fun. It was crazy. I have so many stories. People think I make them up, but I just like was always going out.
So what made you want to move to New York?
So we moved to Miami during COVID. And New York just has some of the best talent in the world. When you're building a magazine, it's like everybody's here. All the editors are here. I love creatives. I love films. I love books. I love plays. So it's like, I don't know. We just came back this morning at 3 a.m. and my husband and I were just like, wow, we just love like the energy, the inspiration of the city. I don't know. It's hard to beat it.
Yeah. Okay, well, we are going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
So fun getting to hear about what you're working on, and people can follow you. Yeah. Instagram, Substack.
Yeah. We can follow eviemagazine.com. You can subscribe digitally. If you go to evprint.com, you can get the print magazine, or you can go to Costa Magazines if you're in New York City and get it there. And yeah, the app for 28, you just search 28 Wellness in the App Store and you can get that. But highly recommend both of them.
Amazing. I am Lydia Moynihan, sitting in for Miranda Devine. Make sure to like and subscribe and tune in next week for another episode.